Hi friends, welcome back to Millennial Homesteading, and Happy New Year! I'm expecting 2021 to be just as interesting as 2020 was. And one thing we noticed last year was that food prices are starting to increase somewhat, and especially dairy products, at least in our area. So one thing we wanted to try and do to reduce our costs was make our own cheese. Now I got to looking into making hard cheeses like cheddar and manchego and other things like that, and the presses and the equipment and the cold boxes for aging and all those things were kind of on the pricey side. And we're all about frugality around here, so I got to looking into cheaper cheeses to make, and what popped up was soft cheeses. So things like goat cheese and mozzarella. And well, we go through a lot of mozzarella around here too, so we're gonna try and make that today. So come along and we'll get into making some fresh mozzarella cheese. This is the first time in a long time that I've made mozzarella, so I've got my recipe here, and I'll be sure and put all of the ingredients in the description, and I'll even flash some stuff across the screen so that you can follow along with me. So we're going to need rennet, which is like this junket. You can get this at Kroger and obviously Amazon. And I've got citric acid. This you get at Walmart. So if you're going to try and go the physical purchase route, you're going to have to run around to a couple of different stores. But you can also get this on Amazon as well. And naturally, whole milk, the fresher the better. And I've actually got this from an Amish store that's local to us. So this even had the cream and everything on it. So I've already pulled the cream off for another project we're working on. But we're going to use this to make our mozzarella. And naturally, salt for flavoring. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is take your junket, which actually comes in these little tablets like this. You want to take those while it's still in the blister pack and crush it up with something. Like the handle of a knife or a spoon, hammer, whatever works for you. Just don't get it everywhere. And then you'll want to dissolve it into a quarter cup of water. So it's going to be dissolved and ready to go. You'll want to do the same with your citric acid. You're going to need about 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid, and it's going to go in a 1/2 cup of water. Under the equipment that you'll need a thermometer, and it's just a simple probe thermometer is what I'm using. And I've got it set to Fahrenheit because, American. And you'll need some cheesecloth. This is actually cheese muslin. I think it's a little bit tighter weave, but I've worked with the cheesecloth that you can get at like Walmart or Kroger or wherever, and that works just as well as this stuff. And you'll need a colander and mixing bowl for collecting your whey and straining out your curds. So we'll set that to the side for now. First thing we need to do is add our milk to our pot here. And it still has a lot of that cream in it. I didn't get all of it out, but that's to be expected from non-homogenized milk. One of the things that they do to milk in the supermarkets is it goes through a homogenification, I think. Whatever the word is, I'm not sure. But it's they make it homogenized, which means it's all one consistency, and that's why the cream is not really able to rise from it. Though I'm quite certain that they pull all the cream out of the milk before they make it homogeneous. And we're also going to add our citric acid water to the mix here. And we're going to put this on medium heat and heat it to 90 degrees. And while it's heating, I will just gently stir it with a spoon here. Well, it's not really a spoon, but you get my meaning. So we'll come back once this has been heated up. It'll take probably about 5 minutes or so. Let's check our temperature now. And we're still much colder than room temperature. One thing you want to do with your milk before you even start the process is let it warm up somewhat. It doesn't have to be room temperature, but it shouldn't be refrigerator cold either. And we have reached our 90-degree mark. We're a little bit over, but that's fine. You don't want to get it too hot though, but now we've turned the heat off. I'll set this to the side and we will remove it from the heat altogether. And then according to this, alright, we will pour in our rennet, and we will mix in a figure 8 motion for 30 seconds. Okay, and then we will stir in a gentle counterclockwise motion for 30 seconds to still the milk, according to the recipe. Set this aside, and we will leave it covered for 5 to 10 minutes, which will start to form the curds. And once the curds are formed, we will we'll go to that step after that. Alrighty, I have allowed probably 15 minutes to elapse, a little extra time because I want my cheese curds to be extra firm. And the way that we're going to tell how firm they are is just by coming into the side by here and just kind of feeling it. And you can feel the resistance against the spoon. So our next step, the next step is to slice the curds. Now you'll want a pretty sharp knife, and you will cut it all the way through into kind of a grid pattern, and you'll want the cheese curds to be about 3/4 of an inch cubed. Okay, so the curds have been cut. Set our knife to the side, and we will return it back over to heat. We'll turn it to medium heat, and we are going to gently, very gently, stir this until it gets to 109 degrees. And this kind of clearish, opaque liquid, clear and opaque. Anyway, this liquid here is the whey, and we've made a chemical reaction happen within the milk here. The rennet and the citric acid have caused the fat molecules to kind of come together, similar to butter, but it's a different process. And when those fat molecules come together, you end up getting only the whey and the curds. And so now we are going to try and shrink these curds and extract even more of this whey, because you want as little whey as possible. The whey will actually harm the longevity of the cheese if you have too much, which is why a lot of those hard cheeses that I was mentioning earlier, they need a press to try and just squeeze as much of that whey out as possible. And here's a close-up view of the whey. It's very, very thin, very watery almost. And this is actually really good stuff, from what I hear, for putting in the garden to lower the pH, raise the acidity of your soil. So it can turn your hydrangeas blue, and can really give your blueberries and roses a nice boost. We'll give it a gentle stir. And the reason we want to stir it gently is because we don't want the curds to break up. Like that one broke up there. We really don't want that. But we also don't want anything to burn. So I'll check the temperature again. We're getting pretty close. So I will come back once this is at the proper temperature. We're looking for 109. Okay, so we have reached 109 degrees Fahrenheit, a little quicker than I thought we would, so I had to pull it off the heat, off camera. But as soon as it hits 109, you want to pull it off the heat. And our next step is to ladle and strain the curds from the whey. So over here, I've already taken my colander and put my cheesecloth in the colander so it can catch all the curds. I don't want to lose any of it. And then I have a very large bowl here that I'm going to put the colander in to collect all the whey that comes off. Because we're going to use this whey later to help us with stretching and kneading the mozzarella. These are some very, very large curds. The last time I did this, I used milk bought from Walmart, or may have been Kroger, I don't remember. It was several years ago, and it did not yield nearly as much curd as this has. So if you can, get some fresh milk from the Amish, or preferably even your own cow if you have the space for that. Unfortunately, we don't have enough land for a cow, so we will have to we'll have to be satisfied with what we do have. But I'll come back once I have all these curds strained, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so the curds have been thoroughly strained, and I'm now heating the whey back up, and it's going to go to 185 degrees. So it's at this time, if you're sensitive to heat, you may want to put some gloves on for this next step. But once the whey gets up to temperature, we're going to take our curds, and there may still be a little bit of whey in there, but we're going to start kneading them to bring them all together and making them a one cohesive mass and form them into proper mozzarella cheese. Now that our whey is up to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to take a chunk of our curds here and just dip it into the whey for 5 to 10 seconds. So that should be plenty right there. The whey off. And yes, that has partially melted the cheese. And this is where we will now knead it into a cohesive unit. And it cools down very quickly, so you may have to dunk it again several times. And this is very warm, so if you are heat sensitive, then definitely use some sort of gloves. Now, to improve the flavor, you will add salt. Our salt that we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up again. And then I'm going to add a sprinkling of the salt here. And then fold it in on itself. And knead it while it is still warm. And you want to make sure that you can stretch it as well. So it's not just kneading like with dough, you want to stretch it too. And that's what makes the string cheese is the stretching. So we're starting to cool down again. And you just repeat this process with chunks until you get the right consistency that you're looking for. And then you'll have several small servings of mozzarella ready to go. So I will bring you back when I'm ready to show you that. So there you have it, mozzarella cheese. And we didn't have to deal with all the shenanigans going on out in the market. Now I just gotta figure out exactly what I'm gonna do with all this whey. And once again, wear gloves when you're doing the stretching, because it's pretty warm, and yeah, I may have overestimated how tough I am. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, and thank you for watching again, and we'll see you next time.